beauty TikToker gunned down during live stream.
A beauty influencer live streaming with her thousands of followers on TikTok in one moment looked away from her camera and into the eyes of her killer.
This girl was famous in Mexico, and she got shot, ran up on, by a member of the CJNG Cartel, Jalisco New Generation Cartel.
Valeria Marquez was gunned down on film as she sat in her beauty salon in Jalisco, Mexico. And police are now hard at work trying to figure out who did this and why. Welcome to Sidebar, presented by Law and Crime. I'm Jesse Weber. A 23-year-old social media influencer and model who showed off her hair and makeup to thousands of followers on TikTok and Instagram.
Secret that Arizona serves as a major corridor for illegal drugs coming into the United States. Now,
this should provide some context as to how serious CJNG is. Now, listen, I think we should go south of the border and show them the bald eagle, if you know what I mean. I'm just saying, dude.
Entered the scene. El Cartel de Jalisco Nueva Generación, or CJNG.
When they come into an area, they really come in really hard and heavy, meaning they will go in and start on a killing spree.
Polo Ruiz, Assistant Special Agent in charge of the Drug Enforcement Administration in Arizona, says the CJNG is ruthless in their quest for money and power. They now control 24 of Mexico's 32 states, with the firepower to back it up. This recent video posted on social media shows CJNG members showing off a convoy of heavily armored military vehicles.
These individuals are individuals that...
I love that that's directly south of our border. They're shouting, Senor Mencho! Senor Mencho! Which is this individual, El Mencho, Mexican drug lord and top leader of the CJNG, organized crime group based in Jalisco. U.S. government and Mexican government are offering rewards of $15 million and 300 million Mexican pesos. In February of 2022, unconfirmed reports that El Mencho had died from respiratory arrest while undergoing treatment in a private hospital in Guadalajara. That seems like some cartel bullshit.
Dead inside of a salon called Blossom Beauty Lounge.
We gotta get Lucky Palmer on the case, bro. We gotta get this dude, this absolute psychopath, south of the border. That's all I'm saying. An entire country versus a private military industrial defense contractor creating AI super weapons of mass destruction. I know where I'm putting my bets. Who's he, you ask? Palmer Lucky. His middle name is Freeman. That's how you know he's based. American entrepreneur. He's a 32-year-old billionaire who creates AI weapons for the U.S. military. His debut piece of technology is called the Fury, an unmanned plane strapped with explosives.
Now, some Mexican media outlets have claimed that Valeria Marquez herself had operated the salon. Others say she only worked there. That part remains unclear. But I'll tell you what is particularly chilling is that Valeria posted a selfie from inside the salon on Instagram on May 13th, showing off her outfit for the day. That is the same outfit that she would later die in. Valeria, it seems, often filmed live content for her followers, not necessarily doing anything exciting, but just, going about her day. And in one point,
Chat, we could have saved her, dude.
In a video on that Tuesday, Valeria recounted a story. She said she had been away from the shop when somebody apparently stopped by asking for her, saying they had a package.
Didn't her friend allegedly set her up? That's the word on the street. Hopefully we get into it here.
To give her. So when employees offered to hold on to the package for her, this person, according to her, declined, saying it was something very expensive, so they needed to give it to her in person, and they left. Now, Valeria says on the video that she wasn't going to wait around for the person to come back, and according to the AP, actually theorized at one point that maybe the person had been coming to kill her. And that leads us to approximately 6:30 p.m. that Tuesday, which is when local police say all this happened. Now, despite saying she was going to leave, Valeria's sitting on a live stream, holding a pink stuffed pig in her arms, happy, when someone off camera catches her eye. A spokesman for the Jalisco State Prosecutor's Office told the New York Times that two men apparently pulled up outside the salon on a motorbike, and one of them entered wearing a mask. Now, Valeria said in Spanish, "They're coming." Then a man said, "Hey, Valeria?" She responded, "Yes." And then for some reason, she reached over and muted the live stream so you can't hear her or the person off.
Absolutely brutal turn of events. Imagine getting offed by your ops on a TikTok live stream.
Camera anymore. But that is when the shooting happened.
Ya viene.
That means they're coming.
Hola. Sí.
Nah, dude.
So we've frozen the video, but live stream viewers actually watched this in real time as someone fired a gun at least twice, hitting Valeria in the chest and the head. It is an unbelievable situation. It is incredibly disturbing and chilling. I've never, ever seen anything like this before. And get this, just a few seconds after
Is bro saying he saw the full video?
Valeria slumps over, motionless, someone's seen picking up the phone and turning off the live stream. So far, that person hasn't been identified, but some online have theorized that the woman was an employee or client of the salon, but others have
Very easy to find through IG. I'm not watching that. No shot. Hey, you want to see someone die? Not really.
pointed out that she seemed very calm for someone who just witnessed what is essentially a cold-blooded murder. It appears Valeria's TikTok page has been removed, but at the time of this recording, her Instagram is still active. And I talked about how she had a significant following. People magazine citing 149,000 Instagram followers for their...
She's got to get out of Mexico, dude. She's got to get out of Mexico. What are you doing down there, bro?
TikTok, 114,000 followers. So there are a lot of people looking day in and day out at the life of Valeria. And many people have commented, have expressed their condolences on her photos online. And despite the live stream being taken down, the Jalisco State Prosecutor's Office confirmed to the New York Times that snippets of the video that have been spreading like wildfire online, they are authentic. Now, here's something that's very interesting.
It's got to suck knowing that the police and government and the cartel are all one in the same. So, like, where is the justice or vengeance? Do you ever get it in Mexico?
The spokesman also said that the gunman asked who it was, like he didn't know who Valeria was. The representative told the AP, with that you can deduce, without jumping to conclusions, that this was a person who was paid. It was...
Yeah, it's like a hitman. If somebody asks if I'm Philion, no shot, dude. No way. Who? Huh? The fuck are you talking? Get out of my face.
obviously someone who came with a purpose. There have been multiple theories floating around social media right now about what might have led to Valeria's apparent assassination,
Depends who's asking.
including that a close friend may have been involved.
He sounds pretty base, though. Sounds like a cool guy, but nah, not me. I'm too normie for that.
In plotting the murder, although we have no confirmation of that or evidence to support that. But so far, the prosecutor's office hasn't commented on these theories at the time of this recording or what might have happened. By the way, actually right before this recording, we found out that another woman, 22-year-old model and also social media influencer, Maria Jose
Nah, dude, don't tell me this. Why are they taking out all the baddies?
Estupinan, was shot and killed in Colombia when she apparently opened her door to a fake delivery person.
Nah, dude, you can't be killing the huzz like that, dude.
Very similar to the allegations and what we're talking about here with Valeria days before. Apparently, there's surveillance footage showing the suspect in Maria's killing running away. Now, according to the New York Post, she had made a prior report for domestic abuse against an ex-partner. Don't know if that's related. Don't know if these cases are related.
Why is Central America and South America so violent? Like, America has its own brutality, but I feel like it's different. Because they are misogynistic assholes. Because it's hot and humid. Cartels ask for money from OnlyFans models. They refuse, they got.
But my gosh, very strange.
I just hate how in this world you have to live in fear. Well, you don't actually have to, but if you want to stay alive, There's certain things that you must concede on. More violence in civilizations near the equator. Why? Because everyone's hot and bothered? Something's got to be going on with the temperature. Because if you go north, nobody has time to fuck around. It's too cold.
Strange that we have two women who are doing the same kind of things on social media being killed in very similar fashion. It is just eerily similar. So to talk about the investigation so far, what's next for the legal process once police have their man?
I mean, look at how many human sacrifices the Mayans did. It's a good point.
Or men or suspects, whoever these people are. I want to bring in a special guest. I'm joined right now by Germán Enriquez Cordova, a Tijuana, Mexico criminal lawyer who will give us a lot more insight than we know, because there's one thing I might know about the law here.
Is there anyone watching from Mexico right now? I need to know how unsafe that country is. Because as I sit here in my basement, my proverbial ivory tower, I can only dream of the hooliganism that goes on.
In the States, I am not as familiar as the law in Mexico. Thank you so much for taking the time. Really appreciate it. And welcome to Sidebar.
Thank you.
I feel like I'm getting beheaded in 5 minutes.
Jesse Weber, thank you for your trust. And well, I'm here to respond all the questions that you have.
Well, fantastic. Thank you. So first of all,
I'm in West Watsonia, bro. Everyone is just bald and hates leaf blowers.
my first question is, what is just your reaction to this? I have to tell you, I've covered crimes all the time. I've never seen someone.
Why would you kill a beautiful woman, bro? That's beyond a mortal sin. God is going to punish you.
Shot to death on a live stream. I mean, this is something that is truly horrifying. And we watched the video. We didn't play it here. We only showed screenshots of it. It is so disturbing. What is just your reaction to seeing something?
They actually did a study on this where they noticed the hotter the weather, the lazier the people get, while the colder it becomes, the faster people work, thus making everything more efficient. Well, there is a certain edge to northern cities. That's a fact. I mean, New Yorkers don't have time to fucking beat around the bush or pussyfoot around. That sounds racist, though. That's a yellow card on the field. Racism has been deployed.
Well, Jesse, yes, in Mexico, obviously, we see all the time serious offense like femicide, like murder, but yes, online, see online that femicide, it's obviously, it's a surprise in Mexico for us, and obviously all the Mexican community, all the Mexican criminal defense attorney, we are surprised with that facts, and well, we hope that
everyone is too distracted by hot Latinas to get the country together. There's a theory that her friend was jelly and had her boyfriend kill her.
Prosecution and the justice arrives and determines soon who is the suspect and who is the defendant who commits this crime, right?
Hey everybody, this is another law and crime legal alert. If you received Depo-Provera birth control shots and were later diagnosed with a brain or spinal tumor called meningioma, you may be eligible for a lawsuit. You see, Morgan & Morgan is investigating claims that are from Colombia. There is a 22-year-old model and social media influencer from Colombia.
We need to create a task force right now to defend the Latina mommies. What the fuck, dude? What the fuck?
Was shot and killed, apparently opened her door to a fake delivery person. Are we seeing a lot of violence against...
Why is everyone a deranged incel?
Social media people?
In Mexico, it's increased, I don't know, maybe 1 year ago, violence for social or for influencers. We see an examples in Culiacan, maybe.
Civilians should not have weapons. Yeah, I mean, I don't know how far you're gonna get. I mean, you're talking to a fucking American right now.
You know about that?
I got 2 registered firearms right here, okay? Stay strapped at all times.
Yes, it's strange for us, for Mexico, to to see the
My left and right guns.
violence against the influencers. Yes, it's strange for us, and yes, I think, in my point of view, it's that violence it's increasing for the influencers, right?
When you look at Valeria's story, does it look like the killer or killers
Somebody's got to elevate this to Trump. We need to put an end to this now. I'm so serious.
didn't know who she was?
I just don't fucking like the fact that, like, we have this agreement with Mexico where we won't invade them. Get your shit together, please!
Because they asked, it seemed to be, is she there? And that kind of gives clues as to what might have happened here. Do you agree?
Trump will get this fixed by the fucking weekend, dude.
Well, yes, it appears the shooters it doesn't know the victim, but well, in this moment we review the prosecution, media, and the press.
The new world is meant to be mogging the old world, and Mexico's letting the team down. I agree. Hundo P.
Conference, and I think in this moment there's no suspect in this case. In social media, we read about persons, but I think, in my point of view, is that the shooter it doesn't know the victim.
Mm-hmm. Did you think it was strange?
That's cool. We live in Big Brother 1984 world, but we can't even identify who shot this girl at her workplace. She died on camera, and we can't even find the guy. That's good job, Mexico. Keep it up.
Woman who seemingly picked up the phone right
You can't identify this woman. She's showing you her face.
after the shooting. At first, you don't know who this person is, and I'm not entirely sure who this person was, but that was very, very strange, no?
Yes. The community in Mexico, the point of view for the community, it's strange that the person who takes the cell phone, it seems like take it easy. I don't know if that is the word.
Huh? Try that again, brother.
Take it easy, take the phone, and well, that seems that maybe she knows something about that, right?
Right. Yeah, it's strange. I want to ask you about the legal system in
I don't get it. This girl gets her head popped, and you just pick up the phone. You're not screaming. You don't run for cover.
Mexico. So, what does it take to arrest somebody? Here in the United States, we have probable cause to make an arrest. What does it take to arrest somebody? What kind of evidence do you need to make an arrest?
Yes, Jesse. In Mexico, it's similar than the U.S. In Mexico, we need a probable cause to arrest someone. When the prosecutor has evidence, obviously the femicide.
Dude, I'm sorry. I don't know if it's just the language barrier. I speak a bit of Spanish, but this English is not doing it. This lawyer must have got his degree at fucking Bozo University. Holy shit.
The prosecution has evidence for the femicide, for the crime, for the offense. But the prosecution needs to go for more proofs for the suspect. And when the prosecution has this evidence, he's going to go with the judge to go for a warrant order. And when the prosecution get the warrant order, he can arrest the person who is the suspect in this case. But yes, it's similar than the U.S. We need that probable cause, it's necessary to go for the first appearance, to the preliminary hearing, right?
Mm-hmm. And we here in the United States, a criminal suspect, a criminal defendant has certain rights when they're arrested. You know, they have rights to due process. They have rights against improper searches and seizures. Is there a Mexican constitution?
What a retarded way to go out, dude. You live your whole life, 23, 24 years old, just starting out. Are you Philion? Bang! Cool. What a clown world. What was the point?
criminal defendants have rights to say, my rights were violated when this arrest happened. How does that work?
Yes, actually the Article 20 for the Constitution Mexico law established the rights for the defendant. He has a lot of human rights. He knows what he's arrested. He can try to nullify the evidence. How can I explain? If the evidence who is recollected for the prosecution is violent the human rights or the human process, that the criminal defense attorney for the defendant can try to eliminate that evidence for the defendant. But yes, it's similar the human rights for the defendant in Mexico than the U.S.
You had mentioned...
Okay, so they have the same human rights when it comes to getting arrested and shit like that, but arrest the guy! Find him! TikTok, buddy, you got 48 hours!
Femicide, is that an actual charge like murder, or is it a type of murder?
It's like a
You see a lot of femicide in South Korea. A lot of incels are upset with the huzz and they take out their frustration
type of murder.
by killing women.
Actually, around 20 years ago, it's not the femicide is not sized in Mexico. The representatives, the congressmen, and the congresswoman in Mexico reformed the law around 20 years or 15 years to incorporate the crime for femicide. And yes, the difference between the murder in first grade and the femicide is that the femicide, first of all, has several penalties, around 40 years to 70 years for jail. But when a person, first of all, needs to be a woman in femicide.
It's strange that she said they're coming and she was cool, calm, and collected. Like, did she know that she was going to get killed? Like, that would be an insane twist. Or did maybe that she knew that someone was coming for something, and when she confirmed her identity, they killed her?
The victim needs to be a woman, obviously. Second one, if the suspect or if the guilty person killed the woman in a hidden place, or if the suspect or if the guilty person is family, maybe husband, or well, this is
These are two separate cases here. This is the Colombian girl.
the points that different the femicide for the first degree murder.
So,
Homicide.
if it's a stranger, let's say it's a hitman, okay, it's an assassin, would this classify as murder?
Un sicario.
Or could this be femicide? And if it is murder, what's the punishment for murder?
Femicide, why not just murder? Because in this case, femicide is targeted towards a woman because of some incel-like demeanor.
The punishment for murder, it depends. Remember that this
It's just a classification of homicide. That's all they're really doing here.
happened in the state of Jalisco. Guadalajara, Zapopan, it's part of the state of Jalisco. So in Mexico, similar to than the U.S., we have penal codes in each state, okay? So in Jalisco, the penalty for murder is for 30 years to 60 years for jail. And femicide,
Send them to CCOT.
it's 40 years to 70 years for prison. In this case, it's going to be investigated, and I don't have doubt that it's going to be investigated and it's going to be sentenced if the person is...
How about America goes south of the border, rocks these cartel shit that sends them all on a one-way trip to CCOT? But no, there's an agreement. Dude, I'm with you. It's so fucking cooked. This problem is solvable. People are living in fear on a daily basis. Baddies are getting slaughtered. How many more have to fall before we fix this problem?
is found guilty
Think of the abuelitas, okay? All they do is pray and cook. They deserve safety.
for femicide, because there's a lot of
She doesn't look scared when she mutes the stream. Weird. That's what makes me think that she was not expecting to get killed.
main points that the crime is gonna be charged by femicide. The person's surprised the victim with a shotgun, and it's gonna be femicide. That I can guarantee that it's gonna be that charge.
So if they're looking at 40 to 70 years in prison, do they get parole? Could they get released early?
No, it's gonna be difficult because when the suspect is gonna be arrested, and if he's found guilty in a trial, he's gonna be sentenced. Well, for example, 50 years. And in Mexico, it cites the benefits of the law when a suspect, when the guilty person has the 50% or the 70% for the penalty accomplished, he can go for the benefits for the law. But in this case, in femicide, the law is not prevent that. So
Interesting. So if you serve 70% of your sentence, you're eligible for parole. But if it's a targeted homicide like femicide, that supersedes it.
my point of view is when the guilty person is gonna be found guilty, he's gonna be in jail minimum 40 years and max 70 years.
How about we find the guy? How about we start there? We're talking about a ghost right now. Yeah, when we finally get him, it'll be 40 to 70 years. Great, cool. Where is he?
For jail.
Does it take years for a case to go to trial? So if someone is arrested tomorrow, when could they go on trial in Mexico?
It's okay in Mexico. The Constitution is not prevent exact timeline or a time that the defendant is gonna be on trial, but it's usual that in these cases, in popular cases or cases that the population is interested in, the trial is celebrating around 6 months. Around 6 months, when the until or since the person.
Dude, this guy gotta get a translator. We gotta get an English speaker on this channel, stat.
Person is gonna be arrested. Actually, the congressman.
Why don't we just annex Mexico? Great question. Because then we'd be inheriting all of the cartels. And then when we crack down, you'd probably have liberals being, no, they're good people, no, it's authoritarian, this is fascism, we're living in a police state, no.
And the congresswomen in Mexico.
Because if Trump were to start fucking deporting them to El Salvador or building another CCOT, the human rights violations, no.
It's trying to reform the law to prevent that the maximum.
You see, you get my point. That's exactly why we can't annex Mexico.
Time to celebrate the trial is gonna be 4 months, but in this moment, it's not a time that we have to celebrate the trial. But for example, or in the practice law, the trial celebrates around 6 months in these cases.
In the United States, it could take years from an arrest to actually have a trial.
In Mexico too, but in not popular cases. In Mexico, it's so political, the criminal law and the criminal cases, it's so political. So when cases like this, like Valeria's case, it's happening, the prosecution and the judge, the court tries to celebrate the trial.
Dude, I think Bukele should just become president of Central America. Fuck it.
As possible.
And I want to talk about the investigation too and what might be happening, but I wanted to also ask you, Is it proof beyond a reasonable doubt to get a conviction? That's what we have here in the United States. Is it similar or the same in Mexico?
Yes, it's equal in Mexico. Actually, maybe you don't know that, but in Mexico, since 2008, reformed the law about the criminal process, and it's similar to the criminal process in Mexico. It's oral, similar to than the U.S., but we don't have jury here in Mexico, or when the prosecution can prove beyond reasonable doubt, the judge is gonna be the judge needs to find guilty the person. Yes, it's equal in Mexico than the U.S.
And if there's an arrest, does that person make bail? Could they make bail in a case like this or no?
No. In Mexico,
Dude, I doubt people ever go to jail in Mexico.
the bail is not working like the U.S. In Mexico, when a person is arrested, the prosecution needs to prove with in front of the judge that the person needs to
Every time they show her pics, I cry. She was so bad.
stay in jail in the process because he's a danger in freedom. Obviously, in femicide, when the person is arrested,
So true, though. So true.
he's going to stay in jail. Obviously, for the victim, because maybe for the maximum penalty for
I just viscerally hate senseless violence. It really grinds my gears.
femicide, 70 years. And obviously, with all that proofs and with all that facts, that person who is arrested is going to stay in jail all the process. The bail in Mexico is not working in these cases.
So now let's talk about if there's going to be an arrest. So talk to us about what is happening with the investigation. Do investigators, do authorities?
The government is ran by the cartel. That's the problem. Hello? Please!
Do they look through surveillance video? Are they looking through Valeria's social media activity? Are they speaking to witnesses? What does an investigation typically look like in your country?
Yes, Jesse. Yeah, first of all, when the police and investigators arrives to the crime scene, they need to recollect the videos, the blood in that scene, and well, yes, the prosecution and investigators is gonna try to get the text and
I bet when these idiots go to jail, they just sit there with their mates and just run shit from the jail too. Absolute fucking joke. Yeah, it is sickening.
information for the social media for the victim, WhatsApp, Snapchat, Messenger. Obviously, the prosecution to get that information, first of all, need to go with the human rights judge because that information is part for the privacy, for the victim, and the judge needs to give a permission for a prosecution to review that information. And yes, obviously, the prosecution and investigators is gonna interview witness to review what's happening. It's usual in Mexico that maybe the police has a suspect, or yes, has a suspect, but first of all, the police is interview as a witness, and then when the investigation advance, that witness is changed to suspect. It's usual in Mexico, but yes, that is the usual.
Could you imagine going into law enforcement in Mexico? That's gotta be putting a crazy target on your back. Is there any Mexican Giga Chad out there who hates cartels? Where are the other Bukeles of Central America?
Investigation that the police and the prosecution realize in these cases.
Do you think there's going to be an arrest in Valeria's case?
Yes, Jesse. I don't know who, but just because in Mexico, as I explained you before, it's so political. And the governor, the president, everyone is taking care for this case. And obviously, yes, it's gonna be an arrest because in previous cases, when a case it's so political, when a case it's so violent, it's so influential, like this case, the prosecution is arrest someone. I hope that is arresting the guilty guy because
Yeah.
obviously with that evidence and with that information we can get a sentence on a trail. If the prosecution arrests the grand guy, we can have a non-guilty resolution for the judge, right?
Oh, well, we don't want that. We want to make sure that the right person is ultimately apprehended for such a heinous, disturbing crime. I mean, how often do you see a crime committed actually on tape? It's pretty unbelievable and chilling, to say the
Yes.
least. German Enriquez Cordova, thank you so much for taking the time. Loved having you here on Sidebar, and really appreciate.
He's trying so hard not to say the cartels just run the shit. Is that what he means by it's so political, you know? It's just, it's very, what's the word? Political.
You watching the show as well. Thank you.
Help me, please. There's like 5 cartel members behind his camera.
Thank you, Jesse.
And that is all we have for you right now here on
Dude, they got him. They got his ass.
Sidebar, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us. And as always, please subscribe on YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, wherever you get your podcasts.
What's so political about a beautiful woman getting shot in her salon makes no sense. You're telling me, dude. We gotta elevate this up. The big dog's gotta hear it. It's crazy. Not good. As Adam Conover would say, that's bad. That's bad.